friends, and welcome back to the next episode of Like Anime. My name's George, and with me, as always, is Tony.
Hello, I am Tony. Nice to meet you.
Tony is a ghost now.
Oh, was that a ghost? I was trying to be like a Bing Crosby crooner,
Oh,
sort of.
okay.
Hello, I am Tony. Nice to meet you.
Nice. Now I get it.
All right.
You're the ghost of Bing Crosby.
I'm the ghost of Bing Crosby, who was born in Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
How would I know that if I wasn't the ghost of Bing Crosby? No one knows where Bing Crosby was born except his ghost. Everyone knows this. It's absolutely true.
Well, in the late great tradition of Bing Crosby, we are joined to talk about some anime, which he was very fond of. Little known fact.
That and Holiday Inn.
Yes. At the Holiday Inn, he would watch some anime. Yeah, so we got some more anime, the latest, greatest, maybe not so great. We're gonna run through another batch, and kicking us off is a little show called
Boku no Hero Academia, also known as My Hero Academia. This is episode number 96, the 8th of this season, if you count episode 0, 7th if you don't. And yeah, as expected, this is another yawn fest where people punch each other and I don't care. I do have one lengthy note here that basically just says, I was thinking back to episode 1, or season 1 even, where we have the narrator say, this is the story of how I became the number one hero, right? And we think it's Deku, right? We're pretty sure that's Deku who's doing the voiceover and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So isn't this story supposed to be about how Deku becomes the number one hero? Yes, it is. And what does any of this have to do with that? Absolutely fuck all is the answer. Because we see Deku for like 3 seconds in this episode where he's like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, in rebuttal, not that I'm completely defending it, but I will point you to a little show called How I Met Your Mother, which spends umpteen seasons of Bob Saget explaining to his kids how he met their mother, and it's goes way off topic all the time.
I, unlike many other people, did not waste 9 years of my life watching that. So.
Well, I didn't either, but I started watching it until I was like, wow, they're never gonna meet. Yeah, I never finished it, but I used to dig that show. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't. That sounds familiar, like that voiceover in the beginning of like, this is the story. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was actually at the beginning of every episode in season 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
That's how they started every episode. This is the story of how I became the number one hero or some shit.
I don't remember that vividly, but I don't know. I'm neither of us, and we have a mutual buddy who's also watching. Keeps up with My Hero, but none of us are thrilled on this season so far. It's kind of been lackluster and going through the motions, not completely and utterly boring for me, but just mildly entertaining and not really engrossing me in the plot. But it's like I feel like this. I'm trying to lower expectations, I guess, because from what we've seen so far, it's more the story of this class going through school.
Well, because Deku's in the class. I mean, when it started down that route, season 2, where they start, showing you these secondary characters, because Deku is still the primary character, right? And maybe Bakugo is, like 1.5. But then we've got all these secondary characters, and then we've got like third tier characters, like class B and stuff like that, be third tier characters. And then second season, it kind of meanders in that direction, introducing us to all these side characters. That's fine because we're, meeting them for the first time or whatever. And then season 3, we're getting more into Deku and him learning to use his power and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more about Deku again, which is, the good stuff. This is the story that we're here for. And then season 4 it's more action-y, but it's still largely about Deku.
Yes,
we're following Deku from day to day, basically.
Yeah.
And then this season, we see Deku every episode for like 5 seconds, and that's it. Other than like at the very beginning where he, talks with All Might about the vestiges and stuff like that. Yeah, we're seeing very little of Deku. We're getting very little actual story involving him at all. It has nothing to do with him. It's focusing mainly on these second tier and third tier characters. Second tier characters who we were introduced to in season two, and third tier characters who half of them we were introduced to in seasons 2 or 3,
Yeah.
and some of them were, just now learning about. But I don't, I just don't care.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's
I'm
like,
here for the Deku. That's it.
I mean,
Hashtag I'm here for the Deku.
I guess I am too, if only because it would hopefully make it more interesting.
Yeah, it would
But
be an actual story.
yeah, but it's like, well, we talked about this last week when All Might pulled Deku aside and was like, oh my God, when you fight Shinso, it's those vestiges. By golly,
Yeah,
they're gonna.
just wait 3 more episodes until that happens.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like that's okay, that's fine, but like in the interim, you got to make these other battles more interesting, give them higher stakes, or make them funny, or make them really exciting,
Yeah,
or really like well thought out and smart. I mean, there's been some moments like I like the first match, but like ever since then, it's kind of been downhill.
yeah.
Um,
The first match was fine, and I mean, I would still be complaining if it were only one episode per match.
mm,
And now that we've gone into 2 episodes per match, like it's way worse. Like
yeah,
there is no story here. There is no story,
yeah,
no cohesive story that ties into anything else.
yeah.
It's just
That's why I said they're just
stuff that happens.
they're going to school. They're doing the school stuff, right? I mean, that's like
Yeah, but I mean,
it's like when you
it could still tie into the other story, but this doesn't tie in any way. Anyway, all right,
yeah.
5 out of 10 on
Fair
this
enough.
episode yet again for me. But you can continue to talk about it. I'm just getting a little
I
rambunctious
was
over here.
I was underwhelmed too. I mean, I it's hard to rate at this point, but I had a couple notes, which are mostly kind of shitting on it. But when the episode first started, they show like the episode title, and I just wrote down I had this thought like the exciting conclusion to last week's match 3, as it was called. This one is titled Match 3 Conclusion. Like it was literally called Match 3 Conclusion.
I know. It's
Uh,
like they got as lazy as me with writing the episode descriptions, and we've got like week 7. Week 7 continues. Week 7 concludes.
yeah.
That's our episode descriptions now. Just because
Yep.
I don't know what to say.
And then along those lines, the only other thing I wrote is that this, to spoil this episode, ooh la la, it ends as a draw because they literally run out of time. We learn that each match is timed at 20 minutes. And so I went back to last week's episode and I timed the timestamps from when the match started to the end of the episode, from when it picks back on this episode to when it ends, when the timer goes out. And it was roughly 28 minutes of screen time for a 20-minute match.
Hmm.
Granted, there are some flashbacks and stuff in there, but I believe those are like real time, because it's like the characters actually thinking about stuff they did in the past, or maybe it's just for our benefit.
I was hoping that you were going to say that you went back and you watched the beginning where they sort of announced the rules and found out that they never actually said that there was a 20-minute time limit. That I wondered when I was watching this. Like, did they say that? Did I miss it?
They could have. Yeah, I don't remember that either.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't go.
Even if they
didn't go
did,
back
I
that
would
far.
have. I'm sure I would have glazed over it if they
Yeah.
did. But
It's like
you know.
whatever. Because well, it was funny to me because I was talking about last week. I think it was last week of with all these matches. It'd be cool, like not for this one, but for now the next one, because we're waiting to get to the 5th match, right? I think, and
I
this was the 3rd, and so now we're going to the 4th.
Yeah.
But I was hoping that for the 4th one, last week, just kind of spitballing, that'd be funny if like it was over in an episode. One of the characters on either side just completely overpowers everyone and ends it immediately. I think that'd be hilarious.
It's super funny. Just like 5 minutes. The first 5.
Yeah.
Even pre-credits.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Just like match 4 begin, and then he just everyone's in jail, and it's like, all right, titles go.
That'd
And
be a
then-
little too quick. I'm thinking like 5 minutes after the
all
opening
right.
credits.
Fine.
But I can see where you're coming from. You got a lot of pent up frustration there, which is
It
justified.
would
Like
be-
this,
yeah. It would be super funny though.
yeah, that'd be great. But either way, if they by the midpoint of the episode resolve that fight, like I think it would be hilarious. And whoever that character is that would hypothetically do that, It'd be kind of cool. It would give them some heft, some weight to their their powers.
Mm.
From our perspective. But I'm not sure. They've been
No,
following a
because
pattern.
they would cheese it up in some way where it wouldn't give it any sort of weight. It would just be like, I don't know. Anyway,
It was
go ahead.
It was like it was just a fluke or something.
Yeah, or something. I don't know. They would they'd cheese it up.
Well, I will say because we started this season, and I was more optimistic, and you were kind of like, "Ah, here we go again." I mean, once we got into these matches and stuff.
And you're about to say that you were wrong and I was right?
Yeah, well, that's evident. I don't need to say that.
Yeah, but I appreciate it when you do.
You were right.
Yay!
I was wrong.
I love being right.
I was wrong.
I mean, I'm always right, but I still love it every time.
You still love it even when it means, being bored and frustrated by a show that you used to like.
Yeah, I'm way happier now than I was just a minute ago.
Yeah,
because you have acknowledged that I was right. That this show is not very good.
Well, I'm more upset about this 20-minute match lasting 28 minutes of screen time. But my point being that you were right. But it's just frustrating. And like if this next match is just going to be a repeat, I mean, obviously things are going to play out differently. But if it's another 2-episode match, it's just like, come on. I mean, unless they do something interesting, but because we're all waiting for Shinso. I don't know. I mean, if you're listening to this, like, let us know. Like, are you really enjoying these matches? Like, I kind of like learning the new characters and learning their abilities, but there's not a lot of stakes, like you were saying. It's not really servicing the story.
Did they just sort of blow all of the really popular characters early on? Like Tsuyu is like my favorite. I think everyone knows that. Uraraka is probably some people's favorites, and she was in match 2, right? Was she in 2 or 3? Or has she not gone yet?
I think she's
I don't
next.
remember.
She might be next.
Oh,
crap!
Right. Maybe they're spreading it out better than I thought. I know that Colin's favorite is grape juice, and he
hasn't gone yet.
Oh, okay.
I don't think. Yeah,
no,
he hasn't gone.
Yeah, he hasn't.
So yeah, I keep forgetting the pairings.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't really care, and that's why I forget because it doesn't matter.
Well, if the matches had been consistently more interesting than they have been, then I probably would be paying attention. But
I guess
I don't know. But yeah, we're on the same boat.
I guess I remember more about the Class B characters and stuff. Like I'm trying to think about who was in that battle, and the things that I remember are much more about Class B characters, right? Like the manga kid.
Yeah, which I like. I like him. I like him. I like his ability.
It's funny. It's amusing. It's probably funnier reading the manga, but whatever. It works in the anime, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back of who was fighting in match 1, match 2, match 3, and I remember mostly Class B characters, which is odd.
Yeah. Which that makes sense to me because that's been the most interesting thing. I think,
because they're new.
Yeah.
I guess.
And everyone has a unique quirk, and so it stands out more because there's not much else to cling on to. Like that first fight with Shinso, was my favorite. I think probably lasted 2 episodes, but like that match was good.
Fight was like 1 episode.
Was it just 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but regardless, like it was
maybe 1.5. I don't know.
Okay, might have been, yeah. And it started and then was a cliffhanger, and then they finished it,
and then it ended pretty quickly into the next episode, and then
so maybe that
2 began.
I mean, Shinso has a lot to do with that, but maybe also just being a shorter, like a briefer amount of screen time for it. But I mean, definitely we've talked about with the, I don't know, it should have a term, shonen fatigue, shonen adaptation fatigue, where it's like they get closer and closer, the anime gets closer and closer to the source material. They start to run out, and it's like, well, we got to stretch it out, or we have to make up filler arcs.
Right.
And
everybody hates fillers, so they just stretch it out. Like I'm assuming we're all canon here. It's just been stretched.
Yeah, I think
hard.
so. Yeah, I definitely think so. And it's kind of we're doing this podcast following current anime, and this is one of the most popular. Demon Slayer aside, is one of the most popular anime running right now. But I'm kind of tempted to read the manga.
I mean, was one of the most popular. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it still has a lot of name recognition.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm kind of tempted. I've thought about this several times this season to just read the manga. I feel like it would be a lot faster and probably a lot more entertaining.
That's probably true.
So anyway, we'll check back in with that. I don't know if I have the time for that, but let us know if you're reading the manga and what you think. Compare it comparatively.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you at Like Anime. Do it now. Get at me in the comments, bro. Yeah. Jump onto Tokyo Revengers, episode 6. Um, I've had enough of this show. I didn't bother to take notes. I just don't care about what's going on. Yeah, I mean, there's specific things that I remember from the episode that annoyed me. Um, but yeah, this one's been cruising at a 5 of 10 for a while now. And last week, if George was going to drop it, I was going to drop it. This week, I don't care. I'm done with it. It's a 5 out of 10. I'm dropping it. Um, I mean, it made it half a season, so credit to it for not being absolutely abysmal. But it's just, yeah, the things that it's doing story wise, plot wise, are not terribly interesting, and it's really some heavy-handed writing going on. The way that they're forcing the plot around. Yeah, yeah.
Forcing is a good word. Yeah, we happen to be in sync here because at the end of my notes, which I did have some notes, but I wrote drop question mark because I knew you were on the fence last week, and this one just kind of convinced me. I mean, maybe not completely convinced me, but it had me in that mood of just like I think I'm done. And I've said it before. It's like the more times they go back to present day, the less interested I become.
It's not like he spent a lot of time.
No, it's true
there, but he did suddenly go back. We didn't even really see how he went back, but he was suddenly back in the future. And then he goes back to the past. And then they did that thing again where he's back in the past. And so I could understand him being surprised to have just sort of, generated into his younger self on the back of a bicycle. I get that. But the thing that he was surprised about was that his friend who committed suicide in the future is still alive in the past, which he fucking knew. All right, I'm getting angry. I'm just going to leave it.
This is an emotional episode for you.
No, I don't know, man. I'm just very angry.
So, okay, just since this is our last time with Tokyo Revengers, I got some notes. I'll just rush through them. But in this episode, young Mikey and Draken, we kind of see like their backstory and how they meet as kids. And I thought it was cool to see them, but then their whole meeting seemed kind of forced. It was just like Draken was part of this, kind of younger gang. There's so many gangs. I mean, gangs in every.
They're elementary school gangs at this point, right?
Yeah. But this gang that Draken's in, they have him go find Mikey because he's up to no good and beating people up, and it was kind of cute when they met and stuff. But then.
I liked Draken's character development in this with him getting like the tattoo and everything. Like that was all cool.
Yeah, I was fine with that. And I said last week, like I would much prefer if this was about them, Mikey and Draken. Like I think they're much more, far more interesting than Takemichi. But anyway, it was just weird to me. Also, though, because it seemed like Mikey like already knew who Draken was. And like I don't know. It's like they kind of rushed that whole thing.
He'd heard of him or something, yeah, I guess.
Perhaps, yeah. And then anyway, and then it cuts to, which is still in the past, but in middle school, where Takemichi is tailing them, the same characters, and almost gets caught, but then doesn't. And then, like you said, he goes back, and this is what really annoyed me because he goes back and is like, all right, we need to get
back to the future.
He goes back to the future. Are we gonna have to pay royalties?
No.
Okay, good.
Those are just words.
Okay. Cue the Alan Silvestri score. Okay. He goes back to get, which makes sense, goes back to get more information, more intel. And they talk to this guy who is part of these gangs back then, and they don't really learn anything. Like they just learn that that shit goes down, which they already knew there was going to be this big battle on this certain day. And so anyway, Takemichi's like, all right, well, we learned that, which we already knew. So we'll go back, and they're all excited. Let's go back. And then one thing I did like is with his moment with his friend Akun, who committed suicide, which I do
in
think
the future.
In the future, yeah. And I agree with you that Takemichi is just an idiot.
Mm.
Putting that aside, but I did. It was just like one. I was just trying to find one thing I liked about this episode, and that was it. Mikey and Draken, I like, of
I like
course.
the head tattoo.
Oh, the
That's the
head
one thing I
tattoo was
liked about
cool.
this. Yeah.
But I liked the just the emotional moment that Takamichi had in his head, after realizing, oh yeah, Akun's still alive. But
Yeah.
getting past that, he sort of, it was kind of this touching thing, and he, he just randomly was like, "What's your dream? Like, you should pursue it." And I don't know, it was kind of
Yeah.
cheesy, but I liked it. It was like I felt a little emotion from the show, and so I want to give it credit for that. Um, but then yeah, then Takamichi jumps off the bike from with Akun,
Mm.
immediately rushes to where Mikey and Draken are,
Mm.
and they're talking to these two dudes who, they're talking about this battle that they're going to be going into that we already know is going to take place, but not on this day. It's
Mm.
coming soon.
Yeah, they're just planning the battle or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then inexplicably, this character Mobius just shows up, or this Mobius gang
Yeah.
just shows up, and they're ready to fight. They all showed up with their people, and it ends on this cliffhanger. And yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I needed to run through that, but for anyone wondering why we're dropping this, I still wonder. Like, it's a popular manga. It's getting it has theatrical stage productions. It's getting a live action movie. Like, there's something to this, but this anime is completely whiffing it for us. And it's unfortunate that we had to get halfway through this season to realize that it's just not for us, I suppose.
Yeah. Maybe it's worth it to go back and read the manga, but it could be one of those that it's like, oh yeah, you got to get to chapter 34 before it's.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Who the
Maybe.
heck knows? But yeah, I once again chime in if you think we're full of it, or if you agree. But yeah, this is another one that's we're giving the axe to.
Yep, Tokyo Revengers gone. It was, I mean, it had been just sitting there on the chopping block, like, hey, is your axe sharp yet? Hey, you ready? No, not yet. Okay, well, I'll be here. I'll be here on this chopping block, waiting for you to sharpen your axe, I guess.
I liked the first episode, and it was pretty much downhill from there
I
for
like
me.
the concept,
Mm,
and I guess the first episode maybe I gave a 6. Like I
mm.
was okay with it. I mean, it was introductory, so of
Yeah,
course it's a little more forgivable some of the things, but then they just kept doing those things that weren't very good, and
yeah.
yeah, it's been a solid 5 for the last 5 episodes for me, I think. So
And time travel shows in general, don't don't hold up well under scrutiny. But this one was just like,
I mean, if they're well written, they do.
I mean, to a certain extent, but there's always, like, with time travel logic, there's always, if you think about it too hard, it's like, like, there's always something that doesn't really add up. But in my opinion, but this one, just like from the very get go, once it started introducing like how this was working, it just
Yeah,
didn't make any sense. And
yeah, they didn't care.
yeah, it's like you said, forced. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a time travel show because they wanted it to be, not because they thought it out. But yeah, anyway, what do we got next,
All
Tony?
right, yes, let's move on to greener pastures or shadowier houses. Shadow's House, episode 6.
Hmm.
Um, so not a super exciting episode, but definitely not as bad as Tokyo Revengers. Yeah. So the debut slash test is continuing here. We've got the dolls that are locked inside the house, and Edward, the head doll or special doll or whatever he is, has taken the Shadow Masters outside into the garden.
Yeah.
And then the dolls have to figure out a puzzle or something so that they can get out of the house. And then they get out there, and Edward's like, hey, now you have to find your Shadow Masters and rescue them. And the dolls are like, okay. And then, yeah. Then Edward expresses his clear bias against Kate and Emilico.
Mm-hmm.
And then we learn that there are other Shadow Masters
Yes.
that are watching all
First
of
time
this
we get to
unfold,
see
so,
adult Shadows
yeah,
family
a little
members.
interesting, yeah.
Yeah. That was I'm curious where that will go.
You have any more plot details you want to fill in there?
Well, I liked in the you kind of glazed over it, but like when they at the end of last week's episode, Edward takes the Shadows kids, and closes the door, and you guys can't come.
Yeah.
And so they're all kind of just, some of them are bickering. When this episode
Mm.
starts, some of them are bickering, and some of them are just kind of, don't know what to do.
And some of them are just being sunshiny.
Yes, like our Emilico. I love Emilico.
Yeah, she is just a ray of sunshine.
She's great.
Yeah.
And she's the one that kind of figures out, like, I guess Edward had told them to eat their sweets or something as like a hint.
Yeah.
And so she eats one and finds like this little piece, a little ceramic piece with some writing on it. And so surmises from that they need to eat more sweets to find more pieces, and yada da da. But I kind of like that they weren't necessarily spoon fed. that that they were supposed to be doing something,
Right.
because like when this episode starts, they're just they feel helpless and like, what are we supposed to be doing? And so I kind of like that. I mean, it wasn't the most clever thing, but it's kind of fun. And then they find all these pieces, and then they put them in the door, and it like unlocks it. Okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, like you said, and I don't know, the whole debut like process. I was sort of imagining like something that would be. I mean, the show is going for this darker sort of. We learn more and more each week as we go.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the idea of the debut just kind of seemed like, oh, it'd be sort of a test of like to make sure you're up to snuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this seems more like kind of a twisted game of more to the amusement of Edward and these older Shadows members watching.
Yes.
More than it is like, oh, we need to. Doesn't really seem to be a desire to have any of them pass, or like an urge. It's not like, oh, we need to add more to our ranks of these Shadows members and their dolls. But it kind of seems like a sport in a way.
Yeah. It definitely has that sort of blood sport aspect to it,
sport,
right? Where they're sort of fighting against each other to achieve this, to move on to the next stage of their lives, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does. It feels a little. I mean, the debut feels more like a game show sort of thing, reality show, even, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm reminded of the Hunger Games, if you ever watched or read that. But
yeah, I'm reminded of Big Brother, but I watch that all the time.
There
and
you
that's why. There's always these little tests. It's not so much about like they're looking for specific qualities or anything like that. It's really that they're just messing with them.
Yeah.
To see what they'll do.
Yeah.
It really is more for their entertainment than anything. Yeah.
I completely agree. So that's I'm curious where that will lead. A couple other notes I had is just Edward. I don't know, like his character kind of bothered me in this episode here and there, or just can seem kind of inconsistent, or it's hard to put a pin on him, and not necessarily in like a intriguing way. But he commented in this episode about like he was referring to the last episode where he like started playing piano and they all started dancing, and he was like mad about that. He's like, why did they start dancing? And I'm like, well, they feel like they're being judged. Like, what did you expect them to do?
Yeah, but he said that the reason that he started playing the piano was just to calm himself down because of something that someone else had done before that or something. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah.
It's like a comedy of errors, but it wasn't really played like that.
It was more like him explaining his actions in the previous episode is sort of what we were getting there. But
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, whatever. It didn't bother me a whole lot. But yeah, I see what you're saying about him being kind of, not real well defined as a character. He sort of hinges back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, like kind of conveniently sinister when they need him to be.
Yeah, and I mean, and he basically says like he's biased against Emilico. He's like he wants her to fail, right?
Yeah, as well as Kate as a package. Yeah.
No explanation of why or anything. Maybe that'll be revealed later, like where this bias comes from. But
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah, and then Emilico I love, and then Kate is like kind of is in this like iron cage or something, and she has a interesting interaction with this guy John, another Shadows member who escapes. He was just in a crate or something, and he used his Shadows powers to break out of the
soot.
The soot, yes. Yeah. The soot powers to break out, and then he was kind of wandering around and found Kate, and then they had just like had a funny interaction of. He was kind of hitting on her, but
he was like, "Do you want me to rescue you?" She's like, "Nah, I'm good."
But then he was, I forget what he said, but he was basically like interested in her, and so she thought he was gonna save her, but he's like, no, it'd be more attractive
Yeah,
if you saved yourself.
he did propose marriage to
Oh
her,
yeah,
I
was
think,
that it?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I
Yeah,
couldn't remember exactly
I
what he
think he
said,
did.
but yeah, he's blunt then.
He said something about like, yeah, he suggested the idea of marrying her, and or that I don't remember exactly what it was, but
Mm.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And I'm so that was kind of funny, but I'm curious too, since they're introducing these adult Shadows members, if we'll learn more about like Kate and her parents, or like how she
Mm.
was raised, because it's so weird. Like we haven't been introduced. Like she just lives alone, seemingly as a I don't know how old she is. She seems like she's 14 or something, but
Yeah, 12, 14, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, young. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. Like, grandfather is obviously the most interesting member of the Shadows family that we have yet to meet or really learn much of anything about.
yeah,
And I assume something will be revealed about him along the way here. I don't know. Yeah, we were talking before the show started, and like, I can't predict the trajectory of this show. Like, it's just, I don't know exactly where it's going. I don't know how it's getting there. I don't know how soon anything's going to happen. Like, it's very like looking forward in this show, trying to figure out what's going to be next
yeah.
is just very blank slate for me, which is unusual. Most shows I can,
Hmm.
say, oh yeah, we're going to have 5 episodes of people punching each other. Pretty easy to, guess that sort of thing, though, I guess.
Well, especially at this point, we're halfway through the first season,
Yeah.
But I agree. And that's what I kind of like about it, is that like a lot of it is shrouded, and
Hmm.
we're learning a little bit as we go.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it's definitely gonna depend so much, like solely on how it ends, how it
Yeah.
sticks the landing.
And I mean, it's slow in revealing this information to us, but it doesn't feel slow exactly. It feels well paced.
Mm.
Just that, I don't know. They're revealing it in they're revealing information at a good pace, but it is, sort of stretched out. But the stuff that they're intercutting in between those revelations is, slice of life character development stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it still has a nice flow to it,
Yeah, yeah.
unlike other shows that, might be stretching things out and aren't really filling it with anything of interest,
Mm.
I don't know. Yeah.
I have no idea what other shows you're referring to.
I'm not referring to any show in particular, just that there are shows that exist that do
Especially
that.
no other show we talked about this very episode.
I mean, I thought of that when I was saying it, but that's not what I was thinking before I started saying it.
Well, if you skipped to Shadow's house in this episode, you might have to listen to the ones that preceded it.
Yeah, jump back. See. Anyway, do you have anything else? I gave this 6 out of 10. I'm still, it's still cruising along nicely.
I'm similar. I give it a light 7. Is where I'm at.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I'm liking it, and like we just said, it's it got potential still, and it's hard to say. So
Yeah, yeah. It's so, like I say, it's so hard for me to see where this is going and what it's doing, and I sort of enjoy that.
yeah,
Like, normally I'm pretty good at predicting what's coming next in a show for, probably a couple of episodes. This one I got nothing, man. It's very shadowed.
yeah, in a house.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's move on then to I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. Um, so I promised last episode that I would talk about the voice actress
Yes.
from So I'm a Spider, So What. I probably should have written down her name if I was going to talk about her, but
That was going to be my next question.
she also does the voice for Azusa in this show, which I was surprised. And then she also does a voice of a character in My Hero Academia.
Oh, really? Who?
Yeah. Well, I want you to guess.
But I haven't seen either of these shows.
You've seen My Hero Academia.
Well, yeah, but to compare it to what? Is she Uraraka?
No.
Is she?
All right. So in So I'm a Spider, So What? She voices Kumiko, a character that I love.
Yes.
In I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level, she voices Azusa, a character that I like a lot. In My Hero Academia, she voices
Suchan.
That's right.
Nice.
She does. She's Froppy.
Right on.
And then I was looking through, what else she has done, and I wish I had written it down because there was several other things that I saw that I was like, oh, I remembered one. Madoka.
Oh, really?
She's the voice of Madoka.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. That's awesome.
Um. Anyway, yeah. So this voice actress has done a lot of voices of a lot of characters that I like. She's also done a lot of voices of characters that I've never heard of and I haven't seen the shows. And she's done voices of characters in shows that I didn't like. So it's really just that she does a lot of stuff. I mean, she's in at least 3 this season that we're covering. She might be doing more. I actually don't know. But yeah, she's pretty great.
Her name is
Something Yuki, right?
yeah, Aoi.
Aoi,
Aoi.
blue.
What's AOI?
Yeah, Aoi.
Oh, okay, but I thought blue was just AO.
Well, yes, but also.
Okay, either or.
Yeah, it depends on. I mean, if you're just saying blue, like the color blue, you'd say Ao. But if you're saying something is blue, like a blue pencil,
Okay.
it would be Aoi and pizza.
Aoi. Aoi Yuki.
Yeah. Anyway, yes.
Cool.
Yuki,
That's fun facts.
Yeah, and I forget. I mean, she was in A Channel, I remember, and I remember seeing other things. Anyway, I'm getting completely sidetracked. I just wanted to tell you that I have fallen in love with a Japanese seiyuu. She is much younger than me. She's younger than you, even, George.
You're a fan of her and you didn't even know it.
I didn't. I had no idea. And the reason I found this out is because we've been listening to the openings and endings recently, and she did the opening, I think, for this show. I can't remember if it's the opening or the ending for this show. But then I realized that she's the one that does Kumiko's voice because she was also credited on the theme of Kumiko.
Oh, okay, nice. Which,
and then
if you haven't heard that, it's crazy.
I was like, wait a second, that's the same name. I wonder if it's the same person, and it turns out it is. Anyway, that was a nice diversion. Let's actually talk about. I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. So in this episode, Azusa, Beelzebub comes and tells Azusa that she's won like a peace prize, like a Nobel Peace Prize, basically. But it's instead of being a Nobel Peace Prize, it's a prize being awarded by demons. Because Beelzebub is a demon. And anyway, so she invites her to come to the ceremony where she'll get this prize for peace. The peace prize is because she sort of quashed the feud between the Blue Dragons and the Red Dragon clan. Okay. If you remember that from when she went to the Red Dragon wedding and then the Blue Dragons attacked and all that. It's a couple episodes ago. Anyway.
Vaguely.
Yeah. I don't expect you to remember it. It's just, something that happened. But yeah, so she's getting this award from demons, and there's a fair amount of talk with Beelzebub saying, oh yeah, well, like all the demons that used to do all the evil, horrible things, like that's a long time ago. We're not like that anymore. We're just like normal people. We just live in our demon world over here. And anyway, y'all should come and, come to the demon world and collect your peace prize or whatever.
Sounds like a trap.
It does sort of, but it's not, because this is a nice, peaceful, happy show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so Azusa and the whole sisterhood travel to the demon land on the back of a Leviathan, which is the title of the episode is something about along came a Leviathan or something like that. Anyway, so they're traveling on the back of a Leviathan, which is like a different type of demon, I guess. And they travel and they meet the Demon King, who will be the one presenting the award. Turns out the Demon King is a cute lolly type. So, no surprises there, really. Is there?
I love cute demons, so I can't really complain.
Yeah. She's just a cute little lolly demon. Anyway, Hakura, the elf, formerly known as fan service elf, she's always been sort of clumsy, and she's been worried this whole time that she's going to do something and offend the Demon King, and things are going to go badly. And so when they're meeting this lolly Demon King, they don't know that it's the Demon King, and Hakura is pretty calm and everything. And then when it's revealed that she's the Demon King, Hakura gets really like flustered and upset and like bows to the Demon King, and the Demon King's like, no, get up, don't do that. And then so Hakura stands up really fast and accidentally headbutts the Demon King in the chin. knocking her unconscious, and now Halker is in jail, and appears she's going to be executed,
Oh,
and then credits.
oh,
So
that's fun.
this is a two-parter, I guess. But yeah, I mean it was cute and fun and interesting, and this is what this show does. So none of that's unexpected.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a very female character oriented show. So sort of like the harem fantasy, I guess. Even though we don't have a male, character that's in there, we are our own male character watching all of these cute girls, I guess. But yeah,
How
story wise, it's not like an astounding, amazing story, but it's like a calm, happy, feel good sort of show, and it's cute, and it's slice of life. Yeah, slice of life.
nice. Yeah, it sounds nice, nice and light and funny,
Yeah, so that
amusing.
is episode 6 of Slime 300, or the longer title, which I'm not going to say because Slime 300. You know which one I'm talking about, and that puts us into the special
Dun, dun,
challenge.
dun, dun.
Moving from one cute witch comedy show to another.
That's
George is going
right.
to talk
That's
us
right.
through Flying Witch episode
With
6.
far less hijinks.
Far
Uh,
less? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah,
There's
probably
no
true.
accidental headbutting. I'll
Yeah,
tell you that.
it's not Flying Witch is not really super comedy. It's much more
Hmm.
subdued slice of life, I guess. Like there's
Yeah.
comedic moments, little bits and stuff, but it's not
Yeah.
a comedy show overall.
A big focus on the sort of mundane activities of
Yeah.
which I like. It's nice to slow down every once in a while and
Mm.
appreciate the beauty of your mundane existence.
Mm.
But yeah, we got episode 6. And it's hard too with these kind of shows. Like I like this show, um, but not a lot happens. So there's not much to talk about.
Right. Yeah. I definitely feel you on like some of the shows I'm watching this season where I'm like, I don't know what to say about it other than to just sort of recap what happens in the plot and say it was cute.
Yeah.
Well, very similar to what I just did, actually.
Well, now it's my turn. In this episode of Flying Witch, some Makoto's she's the main character. She's a witch living with, her extended family,
Mm-hmm.
and her sister showed up last episode, and is like visiting now. And so this episode starts, and she's still there. She's just like kind of lazy, lounging
She
around.
naps a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like her. She's cool.
Yeah.
But this episode mainly is about Chinatsu wants to become a witch, and so she
Oh, yeah.
asks,
Okay.
yeah, she asks Makoto's sister, if she'll, train her essentially, and
Mm.
she can become her pupil. And there's a really funny moment where she does that whole thing of like, well, I don't know. I mean, not just anyone can become a witch, but you better ask your parents first. And then she's like hoping that like she's like, oh, she after Chinatsu's like, okay, I'll go ask him. And she's telling Makoto's sister, I didn't write down her name,
Mm.
but she's telling Chinatsu's older brother, like, yeah, her parents know what it means to be a witch. They're gonna shut her down, and we'll be out of this. And then it cuts to Chinatsu runs in up to her mom, who's like doing laundry, and she's like, we need to talk. And she's like, oh, what do you need? Let me have it. And she's like, can I become a witch or something? And her mom is just like, oh yeah, that sounds fun.
Of course.
Like, go for it. And so after that, it just turns into the older sister witch kind of showing Chinatsu and Makoto how to do two different spells. And so
Mm.
it involves snacks. They get some Pocky and some other snack. I'm not sure what it was. And
Mm.
she draws these, these, I don't know, symbols, and does an incantation and
Mm-hmm.
yada yada. And one of the snacks, as we learn, it does it in a fun way where it's like, after it's all said and done, Makoto tries one of the snacks, and it makes you, for like an hour or something, it makes you just cry easily at everything that happens. You're like, just very sensitive. And
So
then
they've done some sort of enchantment on the snacks.
yes, enchantment.
Okay.
That's a good word. That's a good word. And then the other snack, whatever it is, it's like the opposite. It makes you laugh uncontrollably at everything. And so there's a whole funny dynamic of, Makoto's like crying her eyes out, and Chinatsu's like laughing at
Laughing
her.
her head off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it all ends funnily on the dad, who's he's like a farmer and he's like sort
Yeah.
of a hick, I guess.
Yeah.
But it just cuts to him and like nobody's watching him in the room, and he doesn't understand what the snacks are, and so
Yeah.
he ends up eating both of them, and so he's like laughing and crying at the same time, which is pretty good. I gave it a strong 6, which it probably could be a light 7 too. I don't know. It's an overall it's a very amusing and comforting show, and I look forward to watching it each week. I'm keeping up with a few slice of life shows, and this is definitely like one of the better ones. So
The best, you mean? The very best that
yes,
ever
the
was.
very best. It's the Ash Ketchum of slice of life shows.
It's better.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I guess the next thing is you get to tell me what I should be watching for the next 12 weeks. Although we're down to how many weeks? Yeah, 6 weeks. I'm gonna have to double up on episodes if you somehow manage to pick something I haven't already watched.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of hope on stumping you. Each show I come up with, you have been listening closely to me over the years, and have
More
picked up.
closely wrist.
Yes, that word, which we're all familiar with.
Yes, everyone knows that.
So this week, I don't know, and it's like I'm not trying, because like you're not into like a lot of like mecha shows or a lot of some shonen you like, so it's like I'm trying
Sometimes.
to pick like you like slice of life and you like some drama, you like some romance.
I mean, shonen is so broad,
Yeah,
but shonen action,
yeah,
not so much.
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
depending. But yeah, with this one, I am gonna go with a show called Welcome to the NHK. It's sort of I don't know, it's sort of a comedy, sort of a drama, sort of a romance, I suppose.
Hmm.
But yeah, what do you think of that?
I think that it's been on my list of things to watch for many years because you told me about it many years ago. And one of the first things I did was went through all of the things that you've ever mentioned to me and watched them. So it has been watched, of course. This one is a 24 episode, so I watched the first 12
Okay.
as I'm apt to do. And yeah, I took some nice long notes on this one.
Well, you got a lot of notes over there.
Yeah, it's almost 2 full pages, two and two and three, well, 1 3/4, one and 3/4 pages. But I also did a short synopsis of sort of the plot and my thoughts on it, I think. So the plot is a 20-something hikikomori, or a NEET, as I normally hear them called. Hikikomori was kind of a new word for me, but
Yeah, and this show taught me that word too. Many years ago when I saw it, but yeah, essentially like I don't know, like a young person, but like essentially a bum, like dropped out of
yeah,
college, and their parents are paying their way.
it's sort of a shut in. They don't go out or anything like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway,
Just play computer games.
this 20-something hikikomori, who occasionally has schizophrenic breaks from reality, where his appliances talk to him, he randomly meets and subsequently becomes infatuated with or falls in love with, depending on your point of view, a high school girl. And he masturbates a lot, sometimes while imagining the high school girl as a naughty nun. Actually, often while imagining the high school girl as a naughty nun. And the high school girl, she fancies herself sort of an amateur psychiatrist and says that she can cure him of his hikikomori and wants him to sign this contract where if he breaks the contract, he has to pay her like 10,000 yen, which is like $100 or something, I think. Or maybe it's more than that. I don't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then later he and his pervy otaku neighbor decide to make an eroge, an erotic game, for sort of no reason, but I guess I don't know. Yeah. And then he gets super into the whole eroge thing, and he masturbates a lot, sometimes while imagining the high school girl as a naughty nun.
Again.
And then his high school crush he sort of runs into and ends up talking to. He hasn't talked to her in years, but this girl that he had a crush on in high school is senpai from high school. Yeah, she basically tricks him into joining a suicide pact, and and that's where I left it.
Oh wow, that's where the that's where the halfway point is.
Yep, they're out on that island, and
Damn.
yep.
Well, there's definitely more to
So,
this. There's definitely more to the story.
oh yeah, I'm sure.
Um,
There must be, but that is my short synopsis of it. Honestly, from the beginning, I wasn't like the first episode. I wasn't super in love with the main character,
hmm.
Sato, I think is his name. Um, I don't know. He sort of annoyed me and stuff. The girl was just sort of a convenient thing for him to meet and, start this relationship, I guess, with. And then, yeah, the neighbor who's blaring the loud anime music at all hours of the night and making him insane turns out to be someone that he went to school with. And then they decide that they have to trick his mom by saying he has a job, Sato's mom,
Mm.
by saying that he has a job, making this game. I don't remember exactly why they even start making the game. It's like Sato needs to prove that he's not a hikikomori or something.
Mm.
I don't know. It gets a little weird, but there is a lot of masturbation.
I mean, a shut-in 20-something-year-old. I mean, that sort of checks out, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I I don't know. It's been so long since I watched this, but I remember a lot of it. I guess I don't remember so much. I mean, I definitely the masturbation. It's definitely an element, but it's not something that I um would had remembered
There's
on.
a lot of it.
Yeah, so much so that's but I don't know. Like I love like I remember really liking that first episode because it just like it drags you into his mind and
Mm.
it's kind of sick and twisted, just like his perspective on things. And so it's so interesting to me that he's our hero, like total anti-hero.
Mm.
Um,
Stop hitting your mic
I
stand.
I'm he's a total anti-hero. But he's also this shut-in, and so it's like
Mm.
this. As I recall, the girl, I forget her name.
I'm sure I have it in my
He has
lengthier
so many
notes
notes.
somewhere.
Yuki, I don't know.
Misaki?
Oh, Misaki. Okay, Misaki. But like she just comes to his door, like she's with her mom or something. She's
Aunt, yeah.
or her aunt. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they're just trying to like sign a petition, or they're doing something that's like going door to door.
Yeah, I forget exactly. It had something to do with hikikomori or something like
Oh,
that.
really? It
Yeah,
was related to that.
yeah.
But
They're basically trying to recruit people to a church. Like
oh,
that's
okay.
that's where the nun fantasy comes from,
Oh,
is
okay.
because he thinks that she is a member of this church organization that tries to get hikikomoris to sort of come in and
Mm,
then fixes them, I guess, by
yeah.
introducing them to a new social structure or whatever.
And
Whatever churches do.
I feel like that whole narrative of his um is like the way he thinks that is because he's paranoid about he himself being a hikikomori
Right.
and like being in denial about it
Yeah,
and
and
not
well,
wanting
obviously
to.
he thinks Misaki is cute, and he doesn't want her to think that he's a hikikomori.
Yes.
So, like, part of the inciting incident in this first episode is that he's like, "Oh, I know, I can prove it to her if I have a job. So I'll go out and get a
Mm,
job. And there's this manga cafe right down the street, so I'm going to go there to get a job." And he goes there, and he walks in, and who's working there?
she is.
Misaki. Yeah. So so he immediately turns around and runs, and that's
Yeah.
how that whole relationship sort of develops. Is she
Okay.
tracks him down at some point and is like, "Yeah, you're clearly a hikikomori, and I know how to cure you." So
Yeah.
then she starts reading her notes about Freud and Jung and stuff, and sort of like I say, an amateur psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I Yeah, I don't know. I It's been so long, but I really like the aspect because I feel like both of them have these delusions of grandeur, um, with
Mm.
the world and themselves. The way they look at each other. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not a super comfortable show to watch. Like just because I feel like I've been watching a lot of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like
Mm.
a bunch of horrible people
Yeah.
doing awful things usually. But I mean, not in the same sense, but like he is kind of like a character like that, where he is not just, and he's a bit amoral, not in the sense that he's out
Mm.
killing people, but like he has a very skewed sense of what's right and wrong, and like what his worth is. but I don't know. It seems like you weren't too thrilled with it, but
No, I mean, it was overall, I'd say fairly mediocre.
mm,
There were definitely parts that I liked, but like, yeah, overall story wise, just didn't
mm.
really get me, you
Okay,
know?
fair enough. Gave it a shot.
Yeah. So, I mean, I gave it a 5 of 10. It's probably a high five. Um, maybe overall would be better to say a 6, but then I don't usually drop things that are a 6. So, in this one, I don't really feel compelled to watch much more. Like, I am
Mm,
interested in this whole suicide pact that Senpai has gotten herself involved in and how that resolves. I don't really care about the sort of brewing romance between Misaki and Sato so
mm.
much.
Yeah,
And I really don't care about the otaku neighbor guy
yeah, yeah.
very much at all. There was one interesting episode where Sato goes to shit. I knocked down the headphone.
He goes to shit.
Goes to shit. Sato goes to what's his name? Yamazaki. Yeah, Yamazaki, the neighbor guy,
Oh, okay.
the yeah pervert neighbor. He goes to his school and then ends up like sitting in on a class. Do you remember this?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Not yet.
anyway, he and it's like the school that Yamazaki's going to is for making games and stuff, and this is after they've decided to make this
Mm,
eroge, and he goes there actually looking for Yamazaki, ends up sort of wandering into this class and then just sort of sitting down, and it's a class about like story writing, which is
mm,
what he's supposed to be doing for the eroge, and he sort of just kind of goes along with the class thing, which is, I mean, pretty unusual for him to even be out in public and doing stuff like that anyway.
yeah.
But yeah, he writes sort of a story synopsis, and then the teacher asks him about it, and he sort of like shows it to the teacher and explains it, and the teacher finds it amusing, which it is, but Sato sort of feels like the teacher's laughing at him, and then he
Mm,
gets all this paranoia coming in, and he sort of has this outburst where he screams at everybody in the class and then runs out. Um, that was probably the most interesting part of the show for me.
mm.
Just because it, more, it wasn't just, talking appliances and stuff. It was
Yeah,
it was like an actual real psychological problems in this, in
yeah,
this guy's
yeah,
brain. It wasn't a characterized, psychological problem. It
yeah.
was,
It was
you
shining
know,
light directly on like how
his
he,
more the central issue of how messed up he really is. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I enjoyed that. And I'm sure that it probably handles that a little bit more in
Mm,
future episodes as well. I'm hoping in some way maybe resolves it, but not really completely. Because if it
mm.
completely resolves it, then
Just
it's fake,
yeah, it's just unrealistic,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. So
Especially given how bad or how troubled he is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have, some mild interest in seeing sort of how some of that stuff plays out and stuff, but the majority of it is just um
Mm.
frosting on top of, all that other stuff. And there's so
Yeah.
much of it. It's just I kind of get sick of it, I think.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
feel like if you weren't interested in where the Misaki Sato thing was going, then yeah, it's
I mean,
probably not for you.
maybe mildly interested, but it
Mm,
was it was just so teasing of that,
mm,
like oh, is he interested in her? Oh, it seems like he is. Oh, maybe he's not. Oh, maybe he is. Oh, maybe he's not. Oh, maybe he is. Oh, maybe he's not. Oh, maybe he is. Oh, maybe he's not. Oh, is she into him? Oh, no, she's not. She couldn't be into. Oh, well, maybe she is. Oh, no, maybe she's not. Oh, maybe she is. Oh, no, maybe she's not.
It definitely progresses further than what you've seen.
Well, yeah. I only watched half of
Yeah, I'm saying they're
the.
they're dynamic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure it does.
yeah,
Like yeah. I don't know if I'll be satisfied with where it goes and how it ends up.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's not that I totally don't care about that. It was okay, but it wasn't sort of the central interesting part of it. And
Mm,
there's so much more of that than there is of like his psychological problems, which is the interesting part to me.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know.
What did you think of the ending song? I think it's called Puzzle. It's one of my favorite
Um,
anime songs.
I didn't notice it. I remember recently, even you compared it to something else.
Well, yeah, that was actually the intro. I think that was comparing to the, which I also like, but not as much. But I was comparing it to the House Husband.
House Husband one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
But
Oh,
this
that was the
one's,
intro.
yeah, I
Okay.
think so, unless I'm getting them mixed up. But yeah, it's the other one that's called Puzzle. I'm trying to see who it's by real quick, but oh, Round Table is the artist. There's actually two different.
That's funny because I do remember reading that name in the end credits, the name of the song, Puzzle, because they almost always have them written in English if it's an English title like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that I remember that means that I must have been looking for it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have necessarily noticed.
Yeah, I remembered that.
But yeah, I can't think of the song or how it goes or anything like that. But it must have been at least not bad.
It's good. It's in my head right now. I'll have to play it for you after. But
Okay.
If you're listening, go check it out. Puzzle by Roundtable.
It's on Spotify, probably. I don't know. Is it?
Hopefully. I don't know about that, but it's
Oh.
definitely on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube. And so are we.
That's right.
I'll put a little eye in the top right corner.
Oh,
on
it is.
YouTube.
It is on. Yeah, it is on Spotify. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you
There
can
you
listen
go.
to it on Spotify if you got that. I'm sure it's other places as well, but we're a Spotify family over here.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, that's NHK Niyokoso, or Welcome to the NHK.
Thank you.
And that is the end of our special challenge, episode 6, and that is the end of our season 1, episode 20. So many ends. It's like end parenthesis, end parenthesis, end parenthesis.
I'm gonna cry.
Semicolon.
The end of us
Done.
covering Tokyo Revengers.
It
as
is
well.
Thankfully the end of that. Anyway, what'd you think? What'd we say that you liked? What'd we say that you didn't like? What didn't we say that we should have said? I'd really like to hear more about Welcome to the NHK from people that have watched it. If you can entice me to watch it more than George has. I mean, I'm sure he will after we're off mic. He'll probably throw a few more things at me about what the show's about. But if you've got something that you would like to throw at me on why I should watch more of this show, I'm definitely open to considering it. I'm just not real psyched on it right now, but maybe next season I can catch up on that. Are you loving this My Hero Academia arc, I guess? Is this even an arc? I don't know. How do you feel about Shadow's House? How do you feel about Slime 300? Am I spot on? Am I always right? You know I am.
Are you spot on or are you dead wrong?
Well, obviously I'm spot on.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, you can leave us comments, send us messages, do all of the social things that people do on the internets these days. At Unlike Anime, basically everywhere. That's Unlike Anime, UMLIKEANIME. We're on all the social media things. I even actually registered the domain name, so we're unlikeanime.com. I don't have the email set up for that yet, but that'll take you to our homepage where you can leave comments on the episodes as well. Comments are turned on the site. So yeah, go leave us a comment. Do it on YouTube. Do it on Facebook. Do it on Twitter. Do it on Instagram. Do it in the road. Sorry.
There's the copyright strike.
I don't think it's a copyright strike if I sing it.
I'm just kidding.
I'm pretty sure I can get away with that. Yeah. I mean, I might have to pay some royalty or something, which would be like 6 cents. So maybe I'll do that.
I ain't paying it.
Yeah. If only we had a patron to help us pay for these royalty violations.
You're still listening.
All right. Thank you for listening. I am Tony, and he is George, and we together are Unlike Anime.
Wow.
That was super lame.
Peace out.